Happy Tuesday, everyone. So Kamala Harris has chosen Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. I think I speak for millions of Americans when I say, who? So this is Governor Walz. There he is. Do you know we're the same age? I know. I know. He looks like the founder of a law firm specializing in personal injury. He looks like the guy at church who remarries 1 month after his wife mysteriously passes away. He looks like the high school football coach who made sure everyone showered after practice. Now, I don't want to say Tim is far left, but even Bernie Sanders is like, holy you picked him? During the BLM riots, Walz blamed the unrest on a lack of equity and inclusion. He called the events exciting for they created a sense of optimism. Yeah, I guess they should have burned down more buildings. After all, nothing is more equal than fire. But I guess Walz is a Molotov cocktail half full kind of guy. I bet he thought 9/11 really helped people in lower Manhattan afford rent. Too soon? Walz has a 100% rating from Planned Parenthood, earning him total support from Kamala's husband's former nanny. So why did Kamala Harris choose Walz as her running mate? Apparently, he was the only one who didn't laugh and hang up when she called. Meanwhile, a group of comedians, including Ben Stiller, Kathy Griffin, and Rosie O'Donnell, held a fundraiser over a Zoom call on Monday called Comics for Kamala. Wow, I guess no good comics wanted to do it. By the way, Rosie said she bought 100 Kamala T-shirts and will not take them off until Kamala's in the White House. In a related story, Kamala's website is out of triple extra large. All right, so you remember Kimberly Cheadle, the ex-Secret Service head who almost let Donald Trump get assassinated in rural Pennsylvania because nobody noticed there was a convenient roof just shooting distance from where Trump stood? Sorry, lots of people noticed. They just weren't in the Secret Service. And oh yeah, there was also a guy running around with a rifle. Other than that, no signs of trouble. Well, since then, we've learned a lot more about Cheadle. She was appointed by Biden in 2022 after serving on his detail when he was VP, which was an easy job when bin Laden thought Biden was far more damaging to America alive. But not only does Cheadle suck at stopping people from shooting, she can't keep them from snorting either. Remember that Coke they found in the White House a year ago? You know, we might have mentioned it a time or 20 here on the show. I hadn't talked about cocaine that much since I was Larry Kudlow's dealer. Remember how the most elite, well-funded law enforcement agency in the world just couldn't seem to figure out where that stuff came from, even though it's in the most heavily secured building in the country? Well, as Susan Crabtree at Real Clear Politics reports, Cheadle may have wanted the evidence destroyed. Quote, multiple heated confrontations and disagreements over how best to handle the cocaine ensued after a Secret Service's Uniform Division officer found the bag on July 2nd, 2023. Cheadle was, quote, pissed off that her order to destroy the evidence was denied. Well, who does she think she is, Hillary Clinton? Hunter, a known cokehead, had been staying in the White House. And then, oddly, Coke was found in the White House. What a coincidence. That's like finding a case of pies under Chris Christie's bed. But come on, you say, Hunter wouldn't leave something that vital to him just anywhere. It's not like a laptop or a child. But apparently, DNA testing had begun, but not finished. Perhaps because if it was completed, then they'd have something to report. Meanwhile, the media was happy to let the story dissipate like a fart in a crowded elevator. Seriously, what happened to this story? Seems like a perfect assignment for a real reporter, except for one problem. The dope in the White House was a Democrat. And it's a Democrat whose policies and competence and mental state were already under fire. Now imagine if this were a Trump White House. It would be the lead story on every channel. It would be worse than Watergate, the end of democracy, and yet another reason Trump is unfit for office. Sorry, the only drug the Trump kids are taking is calcium. Very strapping young man, by the way. I should have been taking calcium. Now, the Secret Service is denying this report. A spokesman telling Fox, this is false. There are retention policies for criminal investigations, and the Secret Service adhered to those requirements during the case. Well, maybe, but there was a time when we might have believed that. That time was before Trump was nearly killed, and they flat out lied to us about it. They claimed they didn't turn down repeated requests for extra security. That was not a misstatement, nor a mistake, but a lie. So why would they lie about this too? Meanwhile, a Homeland Security Inspector General report just revealed that texts were deleted from the phones of agents on duty during the January 6th riot. Wonder why they do that? Well, according to Crabtree, the Secret Service wiped the texts to clean up for the agency's performance on Jan 6. So you don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to see the pattern here. Hell, you don't even need to be John Holmes. Now, the attack on Trump was mere weeks ago, but the media has already moved on. We still don't know why the shooter did it, and nobody seems to care. It's just like the Coke story, which makes us wonder what the hell's going on. Unguarded roofs, no counter drones, knowledge of a man with a rangefinder, photos of the shooter by the Secret Service a half hour before the shooting, not checking IDs, rally goers pointing out crooks to law enforcement, and nothing being done, the president not being taken off stage despite knowledge of a threat, video of the gunman in plain sight beforehand. I've seen bars at spring break with better security. Was Kimberly Cheadle in charge or Sirhan? The Secret Service blamed heat, sloped roofs, and local police. Then FBI head Christopher Wray lied that Trump may not have been shot. It wasn't like Thomas Crooks was James Bond. He did everything he could to arouse suspicion. Were all those government agents failures, or was Crooks the only government agent that failed? That sounds crazy. It is crazy. But if we ever want to find out the truth, we'll probably have to hire Oliver Stone. Let's welcome tonight's guests. It's August, which means he'll soon be getting his school supplies. Host of The Guy Benson Show, Guy Benson. She knows the S&P like I know the S&M. Financial analyst Heather Zimmerlaga. Even with child, her takes are never mild. New York Times best-selling author and Fox News contributor Kat Tipp. And when he goes camping, the bears have to hide their food. New York Times best-selling author, comedian, and former NWA world champion Tyrus. Guy, good to see you as always.
Yes, sir.
I'm lying. It's kind of sad that we have to question whether the Secret Service is telling the truth, but it seems like every institution under Joe Biden has been somehow polluted by politics, so we don't know what to think.
I almost think there's a way to marry these two stories involving the Secret Service. Perhaps members of the Secret Service should have taken that cocaine on that day in Pennsylvania because they lacked some alertness. So maybe they would have been like, ooh, jumpy, noticing shooters in plain sight if they had some coke.
Yes.
So I'm not like...
It's funny to hear you say that dressed like that.
I'm a solutions-oriented person. I'm not
really
endorsing cocaine use. I have not done it myself, but clearly they need some performance enhancements at the Secret Service at the moment.
Do you think, Heather, that the Secret Service, or let's say, I don't want to blame the whole, but that she might have had something to do with this cocaine thing? Because it's just interesting how that story floated away into the ether.
Right. Well, maybe she made it go away. Maybe she didn't. Why didn't they finish the DNA testing? They didn't push that because I think they know. They don't want to know. Obviously, the story keeps changing. So there is something there. First, it was found in the library. Then it was found near the West Wing. Then the entrance to the White House. So there is something going on. You should get your story straight. If you are going to lie, make sure you're consistent with your lies across the board. The press would have never found out about it. The only reason they did is because the White House evacuated everyone, not knowing really what that substance was at first. And so now, I mean, look, not knowing whose cocaine the bag belongs to in the White House is one thing, but not knowing there was an assassination attempt on the president's life, that is unacceptable.
Yeah, and you know what? I can understand why they would be like a little bit hesitant about another DNA test because the one before that, it was Hunter.
Right.
Little baby.
Yes.
Little baby.
Oh, I'm well aware of DNA tests, Greg. Yep.
Yeah.
Passed 4 of them myself with flying colors. 100% record DNA testing. Very proud of that.
Yes. So, Kat, what do you think this is, like, you are a critic of government.
Yes.
Could this just be incompetence or a deliberate malfeasance?
Maybe, but also for fun, I can also out-conspiracy you.
Oh, please do. Go ahead. Make me seem less crazy.
Well, I'm just asking questions.
That's it.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's a little suspicious, actually, that this comes out now that they're blaming her because she's already resigned. So how convenient. What are you going to do? Because she already resigned. I wouldn't be surprised if there's these more stories, a report of things that were her fault. Like COVID was Kimberly Cheadle. January 6th, also her. Afghanistan, also her. The way the boys acted at Casa More on Love Island, also her.
That is so true because they're all dumping this out. This is what they used to do to me every time I got fired. I'd get fired, and then the next day I'd read in the paper that I was responsible for everything that didn't happen. Tyrus, what do you say? What do you feel? Do you feel that the Secret Service is now being unfairly maligned because of a bureaucratic?
We have to pump the brakes, okay? Just when you just brought up a point where you talked about why they stopped the DNA test. I'll tell you why they stopped the DNA test.
Because they know.
Because they got a call. You don't need to test it. They got a call from above. It was either a doctor or a president or someone who thought they used to be a president or a VP who thinks I could be president. But somebody told them there's no reason. And you have to look at this when this story comes up to say, okay, great, next. Because we cannot lose. The only question that we should be asking right now is about the assassination attempt.
Right.
When you start going after this, to Kat's excellent point, they were trying to, you're going to fall on your sword. We're going to say, and here's what's going to happen. We're going to take care of you in the private sector. Just like, hey, if Biden steps down, we're going to work on putting his head on Rushmore. Awesome, because you will tell him, is it done yet? Oh, tomorrow. Is it done yet? Oh, and he'll believe you because he won't remember what you said to him the day before. So we're seeing this. It's all laid out. You just in your monologue, you brilliantly laid out the entire thing, and now you're gonna get fired for pushing conspiracies. But you laid it out again. We don't need to wait for their investigation. Just look at the footage. He wasn't crawling around. He was walking around. At one point, he looked lost, nervous, confused. When you have that type of carefree for doing something that you should be able to be stealth, not want to move, every wrong move is, this guy was pretty comfortable up there. Those are the questions we should be asking.
Yeah.
They try to blame it on local law enforcement. Local law enforcement is the only reason why we're not talking about the martyr that is President Trump. Because if those guys weren't bravely putting their heads up, yelling, which could have been shot off, we wouldn't have had him. And again, every time we need to remember one name, every time we mention this, Corey Compentori, we need to bring it up every time. Every time. What are we doing for him and his family?
True. I just don't know, are we going to have to wait 5 or 10 years for the documentary on this because no reporters are doing the work now? It's so strange.
I have a feeling if things go the right way, November 6th, we'll start getting answers.
Yeah, that's true.
So the other thing is, this is like resurfacing a Biden story because that cost them nothing now. A bad Biden story is irrelevant. He's irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
This is not going to hurt the next team.
Yeah.
It's the old team. So, like, Hunter issues, cocaine,
Doesn't
put
matter.
it all
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it won't hurt the new leader
This
of
is
the
the
party.
dumping ground for all the bad stories. All right. Before we go, a quick announcement. We'll be live at 11 p.m. the week of the Democratic National Convention. Not in Chicago, thank God, but here in New York. That's Monday, August 19th to Thursday, the 22nd. Go to foxnews.com/Gutfeld for ticket info. Live shows here at night. I can't wait. Up next, will a woke white dude put Dems in the mood?
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.